The forests of the Blue Mountains, where the Wenaha River snakes through the dense undergrowth, hold many secrets. For 39 years, Vance Orchard reported on the enigmatic creature known as Bigfoot, a being as elusive as it is fascinating. Over the decades, the encounters were largely described in biological terms: footprints in the snow, distant howls, and fleeting sightings. However, a series of strange events in the region began to suggest something more profound, something that defied simple categorization. One of the earliest accounts that hinted at a deeper mystery came from the late Wes Sumerlin, a seasoned outdoorsman known for his many adventures in the wild. It was a crisp evening as Sumerlin and his friends set up camp along the South Fork of the Wenaha River. The fire crackled softly, casting long shadows that danced among the trees. It was then that they saw them, several large, hairy figures moving silently through the underbrush. The group was captivated by the sight of these creatures, which they could only describe as Bigfoot. But the encounter did not end there. As the men watched in awe, a silvery, silo-looking thing appeared on the hilltop above them. It was an object unlike anything they had seen before, shimmering in the dim light. The strange craft hovered silently, its presence as unsettling as it was otherworldly. The connection between the Bigfoot sightings and the mysterious object was undeniable, yet it received only a brief mention in Orchard's book. However, the event remained a vivid memory for Sumerlin, a story he would recount until his passing. Years later, another story emerged, adding yet more layers to the mystery. An elk hunter deep in the Blue Mountains, Oregon had just downed a large elk when he noticed something strange in the sky, a UFO hovering above the treetops. The craft moved erratically, darting away and then returning before vanishing once more. As the hunter turned back to his kill, he was startled to see a figure standing on a nearby knoll, watching him intently. It was Bigfoot, its large form unmistakable against the dusky skyline. The hunter felt an eerie connection between the two sightings, though he could not fully comprehend what it meant. These stories, though unusual, were not isolated. They began to paint a picture of a deeper, more mysterious connection between the creatures of the forest and the objects in the sky. This connection was explored in greater depth by Jack Kawani Lapsaritis, a holistic health practitioner with a unique perspective on the Bigfoot phenomenon. Lapsaritis, who had long been fascinated by the unexplained, was telepathically contacted by a Sasquatch in 1979. The experience was life-altering, awakening within him a psychic ability that he had never before possessed. In his book, Lapsaritis detailed his belief that Bigfoot is not just a creature of the earth, but a being connected to the UFO phenomenon, and to the star people who brought them here. These nature people, as Lapsaritis referred to them, communicated not through spoken language, but through thoughts, sharing knowledge about human history and the future of the planet. The creatures were not the primitive beings many had assumed them to be, but rather intelligent entities with a purpose beyond our understanding. Lapsaritis's ideas were not universally accepted, yet they resonated with many who had experienced similar encounters. His book was filled with interviews and accounts from people across the globe who had encountered Bigfoot and UFOs simultaneously. These stories, though extraordinary, called for a re-evaluation of the way science approached such mysteries. Lapsaritis urged scientists to expand their methods, to include not just the physical and measurable but the psychic and spiritual as well. Dick Robinson, a former resident of Walla Walla and the creator of the film feature Grizzly Adams, praised Lapsaritis's work for its thought-provoking concepts. He believed that Lapsaritis's book could contribute to a positive transformation in human understanding, urging a shift away from viewing Bigfoot as a missing link and towards recognizing them as intelligent, gentle beings. The call for change was echoed by others, including Dr. R. Leo Sprinkle, a prominent UFO researcher. He argued that while skepticism was necessary, outright dismissal of these reports was not. There was a need for caution, but also for open-mindedness in the face of the unknown. In reflecting on the mystery that surrounded the Touchet Valley, we can realize one of the most beautiful things we can experience is the mysterious. It is the source of all true art and science. The mystery of Bigfoot, with its possible connections to the stars, remained one of the most profound and beautiful enigmas of our time. And as long as there were those willing to explore the unknown, the search for truth would continue. deep in the forest where the Wenaha River flows. Reported on May 26, 2006, Vance Orchard, Touchet Valley Ramblings. The Highway 101 encounter, a close call with Bigfoot. On October 29, 2008, Chris Lopinto was driving north on Highway 101 near Shimmons Ridge Road, just outside of Willits, California. The day was scorching, with temperatures soaring over 100 degrees, and the air was thick with smoke from the Mendocino lightning complex fires that had been ravaging the region. The road, normally a familiar and uneventful stretch of highway, was about to become the scene of an unforgettable encounter. As Lopinto navigated the smoky road, the highway expanded from 2 lanes to 4. Suddenly, out of the haze, a dark figure emerged. This animal stepped onto the southbound lane near where the guardrail stops, Lopinto recalled later. The creature, a massive figure covered entirely in black hair, moved with incredible speed, darting directly into the path of a small truck that had just pulled out to pass him. Lopinto's heart raced as he watched the scene unfold in slow motion. He slammed on his brakes, convinced that a collision was inevitable. I pointed at it so the other driver could see it and hit my brakes hard. I didn't think I could stop in time and was sure I was going to hit it, he recounted. But to his amazement, the passing truck narrowly missed the creature and sped out of sight. As the creature continued to run toward him, Lopinto got a clearer view. It was at least 7 feet tall, moving on its hind legs like a man. I thought, "It looks like a guy in a gorilla suit," Lopinto said, but as it reached the middle of the freeway, he realized this was no man in costume. The creature's entire head was covered in black hair, and it had no visible ears. Lopinto was now fully engaged in a panic stop, his car screeching to a halt as the creature, with giant fur-covered arms, dropped down and began running on all fours, bounding across the freeway. When his car finally came to a stop, the creature was just 25 feet away, standing at the edge of the road. It was at eye level with Lopinto as he sat frozen in his car, his breath caught in his throat. For a moment that seemed to stretch on forever, man and beast locked eyes. The creature's face was like nothing Lopinto had ever seen, completely flat, without a nose, and covered in smooth, shiny yellow or gold skin, like a ripe banana. The face had ridges where eyebrows might be, and its eyes glowed red, possibly reflecting Lopinto's headlights. It had a simian face with thin lips pressed together in silence. It turned its whole body toward me. Its neck was stiff. We made eye contact, Lopinto remembered. The creature made no sound, showed no teeth, just stood there staring at him. Then, in an instant, it turned and leaped down into the ditch beside the road, disappearing into the smoky underbrush and up the hillside. Lopinto was left alone in his car, shaken to his core, his mind reeling from what he had just witnessed. Initially, Lopinto had no idea what he had seen. His first thought was that it might have been an escaped zoo or circus animal. He called the Department of Fish and Game, but they confirmed that no ape-like creatures were native to North America, nor had any been reported lost in the area. Determined to find answers, Lopinto filed an incident report with both the Department of Fish and Game and the Mendocino County Sheriff's Department. When official sources offered no explanation, Lopinto turned to the internet, where he discovered groups dedicated to tracking Bigfoot sightings. He reached out to a Bigfoot society and was soon contacted by Tom Yamarone, a field researcher with years of experience investigating such encounters. Yamarone was intrigued by Lopinto's account, noting its consistency with other sightings in the area. Chris's account is consistent with other reports, and it was spotted in a likely area, Yamarone said. The glowing red eyes in particular were a common detail in many Bigfoot sightings. What made Lopinto's encounter unique, however, was the close proximity to the creature and the detailed observation of its face and eyes. The fact that the creature propelled itself with its front arms was also a rare but significant detail. Despite the shock of the encounter, Lopinto was certain of what he had seen. He also believed that the creature's behavior was likely influenced by the heavy smoke and fires that were raging across Mendocino County at the time. The fires had driven many animals from their habitats, and it seemed that even Bigfoot was not immune to the chaos. Lopinto's sighting was not the first in the area, nor would it be the last. Mendocino and Humboldt counties have long been hotspots for Bigfoot sightings, with reports stretching back decades. From large two-legged creatures spotted by hikers to unexplained tracks found near remote highways, the legend of Bigfoot continues to thrive in Northern California. As Lapinto drove away from the scene that day, he left with more questions than answers. But one thing was certain: whatever he had encountered on that smoky stretch of Highway 101, it was something he would never forget. The vast, rugged landscapes of the Himalayas have always held secrets, ancient mysteries hidden among the towering peaks and deep valleys. For centuries, whispers of a mysterious creature known as the Yeti, or the abominable snowman, had echoed through these mountains, dismissed by most as little more than myth. But on one fateful trek through eastern Tibet, one man would find himself face to face with the legend, and the world would listen. Reinhold Messner was no ordinary adventurer. By the time he set foot in the remote corners of the Himalayas, he had already achieved what most could only dream of. He was the first to climb Mount Everest without supplemental oxygen, a feat many considered impossible. He had conquered all 14 of the world's peaks that exceeded 8,000 meters, and had even crossed Antarctica without the aid of dogs or machines. His life was defined by pushing the boundaries of human endurance, by exploring the unknown and surviving the impossible. So, when Messner spoke of his encounter with the Yeti, people listened. It was on a solitary trek through eastern Tibet, surrounded by the towering mountains and the silence of the wilderness, that Messner's life would take a surreal turn. As he moved through the mist-shrouded landscape, something stirred in the distance. At first, it was just a shadow, a dark silhouette against the fog, but, as it drew closer, the shape took form. A towering figure, more than 7 feet tall, covered in hair, its powerful arms nearly reaching the ground. Messner's heart pounded in his chest as he took in the creature before him. The creature towered menacingly, he would later write, describing the moment with haunting clarity. Its face a gray shadow, its body a black outline. Covered with hair, it stood upright on 2 short legs and had powerful arms that hung down almost to its knees. The Yeti, the creature of legend, was real. It stood before him, not as a distant figure in a tale, but as a living, breathing being. Messner, a man who had faced death on countless occasions, who had braved the most extreme conditions on Earth, was awestruck. This was no fleeting glimpse, no trick of the light. The Yeti was real, and it was standing right in front of him. But as quickly as it had appeared, the creature vanished back into the mist, leaving Messner with more questions than answers. Determined to understand what he had seen, Messner began to search for evidence. He found footprints, massive imprints in the snow that bore a striking resemblance to those reported in the forests of Northern California and the Pacific Northwest, Bigfoot's territory. As he delved deeper into the mystery, Messner began to piece together a theory. The Yeti, he concluded, was not the Neanderthal-like creature of legend, but rather a rare species of bear known as the Chemo. This bear, native to the Himalayas, left footprints that could easily be mistaken for those of a humanoid figure, especially in the treacherous and unpredictable conditions of the high mountains. Yet, even with this rational explanation, Messner couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story. Time will tell whether Neanderthal-like creatures, offshoots of the human genealogical tree, might have survived in the rugged mountains of Central Asia and Mongolia, he mused in his book. The legend, it seemed, was not so easily laid to rest. Messner's account, captured by outdoor writer Tom Steenstra for the San Francisco Chronicle and distributed by the New York Times News Service, reverberated around the world. Here was a man who had nothing to gain from spinning tales, whose entire life had been built on the pursuit of truth in the most extreme environments on Earth. His words were not just the ramblings of a dreamer, they were the reflections of a man who had walked the fine line between life and death, between reality and myth. Messner invites us to explore the unknown, to question what we think we know about the world. His encounter with the Yeti challenges us to consider the possibility that there are still mysteries out there, hidden in the shadows of the world's highest peaks, waiting to be discovered. Whether the Yeti is a rare species of bear, a surviving offshoot of an ancient human lineage, or something else entirely, one thing is certain: the legend lives on, kept alive by those like Reinhold Messner, who dared to venture where few others would. If you enjoyed this tale of Messner's incredible encounter and other stories like it, please don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to stay updated on all our latest content. We'd love to hear your thoughts and beliefs about Bigfoot and the Yeti. so share your ideas in the comments below. Thank you for supporting my channel and stay curious.